Alright, so what we're going to work on now is a candle holder or a candle or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it could be all both. But we're going to use a weird shape now. And we're going to use loft as our main tool for this. And I'll show you 3 different ways of doing it. So basically, I'll do a demo of how to use loft first. To do that, I'm going to draw a square. I rotated myself to be an isometric view. It's easier to see visually. And what I need to do is I'm drawing a base, and I need to draw a top of how I want it to end. To do this, I need to change my UCX, which is over here. I change it to left or right, or I change it to the front. I'm going to draw a line up here using ortho, giving it some height. I'm going to move it over so I pretty much have like a center of the box up here. It's not really the center, but I just guesstimate. I'm going to draw a circle on top, but see, now I have to make sure I change my UCX because it's facing the wrong way. So I have to delete that. I have to change my UCX to be back to the top view. I'll draw a circle. It can be bigger, smaller, doesn't matter. So that's my first thing. I have these two. One that is on top of the other. I could have just copied them in a box-shaped object, but I preferred a circle to a square. And what I want to do is go to my loft command, which is over here, or I can go to draw modeling loft, select the circle or square. If you're doing more than 2, you have to make sure you select it in order of how you want it to be joined. I'll get into that more later. And I have an object like this. I clicked enter twice. Go to my visual view, conceptual. You can see that it's forming from a square into a circle. That itself could be a candle holder. But we're going to, of course, do it a little bit different. That's option A. Delete that. Explode. Alright, so I started out with something like this. Well, now we're going to do something different. I'm going to draw a from there to there a line, a construction line, not using it as a reference or anything. And from this midpoint of that line is in a midpoint between a circle and square. Well, kind of. Not really, but it's something like it. Now if I draw a box, okay, it's something close to it. I drew it so I have one in between the box and the circle. I did that so I can actually do change the distances from it, make it a weird shape. I'm doing this, you'll see why in a second. I have something like that. It doesn't matter if it's off its z-axis. You can see that it actually moved. This one moved up and that one moved down or something. That's okay. But all I wanted to do is get these points so I can draw the actual path lines or guidelines. I'm going to use a polyline, or yeah, polyline. I'm going to select from here to here to here. That's one line. Do that again with the other corner. Maybe a third corner. I think I selected the wrong corner, but that's okay. Yeah. That, and one more. Alright, I have something really weird shaped. You can tell. I'm going to change this one a little bit because this one's a little bit higher than the circle. This may cause problems. Stretch that down. There we go. It's fixed. And what I'm going to do is do the loft command again. Go to my loft, select the circle or and the square, and I'm going to actually do guidelines. I'll select all 4 guidelines. And this will guide my shape into the next shape. That shit didn't work. I think that was Yeah, but I'm leaving it. It shouldn't affect it. The middle object, I'm just using it for later. I'll use it later, so that's why I want to keep it. But if you guys want, I can delete that. Not a big deal. Make it easily visible. Alright, it looks like that. But you know what the problem might have been? Is the circle is exploded, so it's no longer an actual complete circle. It's actually segmented. So I'm going to redraw a circle on top of it. And I'm going to delete those segments that I'm not using. There we go. Square should, yeah, the square is not fine too, so I'm going to do the same thing with the square. Delete that, move that over, and move this point over here. Oops. Yeah, keep an eye on these things because sometimes they move. Alright, let's do it again. Loft, select the square, then the circle. Alright, that works. And now I do guides. Just like that, that, and that. There you go. My weird candle holder. I don't know. Looks pretty deep. But hey, it's just the idea of how this works. Okay, that is guides. Now if I did, just gonna do this, loft, and I do path, see, it would go around that path, and that if that path is too curvy, that whole box will deform and it won't let me do it. But if I try using, I think this one might work. So let's try this loft. Oops. Path, P for path, and it follows that path. Okay, again, this one was too much of a angled. That box will not make that turn, so it crashed into itself. It wouldn't let me do it. But this one was less curvy, so it worked. Another option is, actually I'm going to keep this. Alright. Actually, if you want to go back to something, but you want to keep what we just made, an easy way to do that is just copy it. Control copy. Then you go undo. Jeez. Okay. And you paste it. So you go back to your original, but you still have what you were ahead of. Alright, so now the other option is you can actually combine these lines to each other. But, and so forth. But then they're all faces. They don't become a solid piece like this. But that's maybe what you want. Loft. Well, it's still loft. I just loft lines to each other, but when you do lines, they become surfaces. And I'll actually go one more. I got to make this a polyline, so I go to P edit, M for multiple. I select the inner square. Enter. Yes, I want to make it a polyline. Join them. Enter, enter, enter. That didn't work. Alright, we'll have to leave that one out. I don't feel like going through the whole thing. But with Loft, there's a lot of free play, and it's actually a lot of fun. And if you want to even change these pieces to be a bit different, let's say if I want to you could slice it in different shapes into this, or carve stuff if you want to. So if I was facing it sideways and I moved this line over like so, and I extruded it this line to make a surface, you can see that. Then actually move it down right here. It's going through the whole thing. Otherwise, if it doesn't go through the whole thing, then you will not be able to use the slice surface option. So I have it moved. I've made a surface through a solid object. I'm going to go to my slice command up here. I'm going to select my solid object, enter a space, S for surface. I'm going to select the surface. It's going to ask me if I want to keep both. I usually do. And then I can just delete what I don't want. And it became something completely different. So that's another key thing that you should know.